In the early hours of January 7th, a high-risk Ukrainian operation unfolded deep inside Russian territory, targeting strategic aviation assets at the Engels 2 airbase. According to operational briefings, the objective centered on a recently deployed Tu-160M bomber, known in Russia as the White Swan, and a nearby stockpile of Kh-101 cruise missiles. Both elements form a core component of Russia's long-range strike capability and its winter campaign planning. The incident began at approximately 2:17 a.m. when reconnaissance drones identified the damaged Tu-160M positioned on the northern hardstand of the base. The aircraft, previously moved following an ambush on a transport convoy, was undergoing emergency repairs in the open after logistics delays prevented relocation to specialized hangars. This vulnerability, combined with the close proximity of more than 60 fueled Kh-101 missiles, created what Ukrainian planners assessed as a unique window of opportunity. Sources describe the Ukrainian strike package as a coordinated swarm of reconnaissance units, decoys, and attack drones engineered to exploit gaps in Russia's layered air defenses. The force traveled more than 600 miles at extremely low altitude, navigating along the Volga River under dense fog to avoid detection by long-range radars. At the same time, decoy drones ascended into higher airspace, drawing the attention of S-400 and Pantsir S-1 crews, who engaged what they believed to be incoming cruise missiles. The initial Ukrainian objective, as confirmed through mission logs, was not solely the destruction of the bomber, but also a potential seizure operation. A small ground sabotage team had infiltrated the perimeter, reaching within several hundred yards of the aircraft. Their reported aim was to board and commandeer the strategic bomber using pre-obtained avionics access codes. However, a perimeter alert triggered a Russian quick reaction force, forcing the team to withdraw and activating contingency plans for a full strike on both the aircraft and the missile stockpile. By 2:40 a.m., the remaining strike drones initiated the attack sequence. Russian defenses, still responding to decoy signatures, remained concentrated above the airfield, while low-altitude corridors were left exposed. Ukrainian planners viewed this moment as decisive. The drone swarm redirected from the bomber toward the missile storage complex east of the hardstand, marking a shift from an aircraft-focused strike to an effort aimed at dismantling Russia's broader regional strike capability. The blast that followed, according to initial assessments, resulted in the destruction of dozens of Kh-101 missiles and ignited large quantities of stored jet fuel. This chain reaction, described by analysts as a thermal event, reportedly reached temperatures sufficient to melt guidance components and warp titanium airframes. Moments later, additional drones struck the Tu-160M's exposed NK-3202 engines, causing catastrophic mechanical failure. Imagery provided to intelligence officials indicates severe structural damage to the aircraft's propulsion systems and hydraulic networks. Part 1 of this developing story outlines the context for what defense officials describe as one of the most consequential deep strike operations of the conflict to date. Further details on the drone engagement, Russian defensive response, and the resulting strategic implications will follow in Part 2. Stay with us and subscribe for continuing coverage. As the engagement at Engels 2 airbase escalated, Ukrainian forces advanced into the core phase of the operation. Newly obtained operational summaries show that at approximately 2 a.m., 6 reconnaissance quadcopters maintained visual confirmation of the Tu-160M's position, while 50 long-range attack drones continued their low-altitude approach along the Volga River. Their flight paths were adjusted repeatedly to avoid detection by Russian early warning radars. According to Ukrainian officials, this approach was calibrated to exploit a radar blind zone created by terrain masking and morning fog. At the same time, Ukrainian forces deployed decoy drones designed to mimic the radar signature of Western cruise missiles. These units ascended sharply, drawing the attention of Russian S-400 crews stationed around the airbase. Monitor logs obtained from regional defense sources indicate that operators launched multiple 48 N-6E interceptors at these high-altitude targets, engaging what they believed to be a coordinated precision strike. The intercepts were successful against the decoys, but this action reportedly diverted radar resources away from lower corridors where the primary Ukrainian drone units advanced. Russian short-range systems, including Pantsir S-1 batteries, attempted to reacquire targets as the drone swarm neared the base perimeter. However, Ukrainian planners had synchronized decoy detonations and electronic interference to create clutter across Russian targeting screens. For an estimated 45 seconds, the Pantsir systems were unable to accurately segregate real threats from environmental noise and false signatures. This disruption, according to defense analysts, proved critical in enabling the main strike group to reach the vicinity of the missile storage facilities undetected. Simultaneously, Ukrainian ground elements positioned near the aircraft halted their initial objective once a Russian quick reaction force was mobilized. Intercepts confirmed that the team then authorized a transition to the secondary plan. This initiated a remote command to 40 loitering drones stationed over the river, which were switched to autonomous targeting mode. These drones, guided by onboard visual matching software, began coordinated terminal approaches toward the Tu-160M and the nearby Kh-101 missile stockpile. As the drones advanced, Russian air defense operators regained partial control of their targeting systems and opened sustained fire. At least 18 drones were intercepted, according to post-strike imagery and Russian communications. Despite these losses, analysts report that the remaining drones adapted to evasive patterns based on telemetry shared within the swarm. This enabled 22 units to reach the missile storage complex. The near-simultaneous impacts triggered a rapid sequence of detonations, destroying stored Kh-101 cruise missiles and igniting large quantities of aviation fuel. Satellite reconnaissance later confirmed extensive structural damage and high-temperature burn signatures consistent with prolonged fuel-fed fires. Moments after the destruction of the missile stockpile, the remaining drones shifted toward the Tu-160M. 10 drones began the final strike run, approaching the aircraft from low altitude and directly targeting the 4 NK-3202 engines. Field analysis suggests that at least 3 drones successfully reached the engine intakes. The resulting blast severely compromised the propulsion systems and caused mechanical failures described by one defense source as catastrophic and irreparable within the near term. The aircraft's hydraulic lines were also damaged, leaving the bomber immobile on the hardstand and listing to one side. Russian response forces attempted to contain the attack as the final drones were intercepted. However, by this stage, both the strategic bomber and the associated missile stockpile had sustained heavy losses. Air defense units, including responding Su-35 fighters, arrived only after the primary strikes had concluded. Part 2 of the incident provides the clearest account to date of the sequence of events during the main phase of the operation. The following report will assess the broader consequences for regional air operations and Russia's long-range strike capability, as well as subsequent strategic movements observed within the Russian Air Force. Following the strike at Ingalls 2 Air Base, defense analysts and regional monitoring organizations reported significant strategic repercussions for Russia's long-range aviation posture. Satellite imagery obtained within 24 hours of the incident showed multiple Tu-160 and Tu-95 aircraft being relocated from Ingalls to other facilities, including bases situated in the Arctic region. Intelligence officials assessed this movement as an emergency dispersal designed to reduce vulnerability to additional long-range Ukrainian strikes. The relocation, covering distances of roughly 2,000 miles, has operational implications for flight endurance, fuel logistics, and sortie generation rates throughout the winter period. Damage assessments conducted by independent monitoring groups concluded that the targeted Tu-160M sustained engine destruction and severe structural impairment, rendering the aircraft non-operational for an extended period. According to specialists familiar with Russian aircraft production, replacement of NK-32-02 engines requires highly specialized manufacturing capacity, already constrained by export restrictions and reduced access to foreign components. Preliminary estimates indicate repair timelines of several months or longer. The loss of these engines, combined with additional damage to airframe hydraulics and adjoining systems, effectively removes the bomber from Russia's strategic fleet for the foreseeable future. The destruction of the Kh-101 missile stockpile has also been highlighted as a key element of the attack's long-term impact. Intelligence reviews estimate that more than 60 missiles were destroyed during the chain reaction fire triggered by the drone impacts. These cruise missiles form a central component of Russia's winter strike plans, and their loss is expected to curtail the volume and frequency of long-range missile attacks against Ukrainian infrastructure in the coming months. Analysts note that manufacturing replacements requires extended production cycles and access to specialized electronics, both of which have been affected by international sanctions. In response to the incident, Russian command structures implemented heightened alert measures across strategic aviation bases, relocating additional assets into hardened shelters where available. However, reports indicate that logistical bottlenecks and infrastructure shortfalls continue to limit protection options. Independent observers describe the Engels strike as a demonstration of vulnerabilities within Russia's layered air defense framework, particularly regarding low-altitude penetration and decoy saturation. Ukraine's military officials characterize the operation as a targeted effort to reduce Russia's long-range strike capability rather than an attempt to eliminate the aircraft alone. By disabling a Tu-160M and destroying a significant missile stockpile, Ukrainian planners view the outcome as a substantial limitation on Russia's ability to conduct sustained winter campaigns. Western defense commentators have similarly assessed that the strike may alter Russia's operational planning by forcing strategic aircraft farther from frontline areas, increasing flight times, and reducing flexibility for rapid deployments. Broader diplomatic and security implications are still unfolding. The incident has prompted discussions among international monitoring bodies regarding the evolving role of autonomous systems, precision targeting, and drone swarms in long-range strikes. Military analysts cite the Engels attack as one of the most complex drone-based operations conducted to date in the conflict, noting its combination of reconnaissance assets, decoys, autonomous targeting, and multi-axis saturation. As the situation continues to develop, monitoring organizations are tracking changes in Russia's air posture, missile activity, and aircraft production capacity. Early assessments indicate that the loss of both the strategic bomber and the missile stockpile will contribute to a measurable reduction in Russia's near-term strike potential. Further updates will follow as additional intelligence and official statements become available. Stay with us for continuing coverage.